Hi, folks. Derek.
How we
How are you,
doing?
Derek? Good, good, good. Hi, Kelvin, Megan, Dan.
Hello, everyone. Richard, you got my note?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Hey, Senator Slab, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
hi, Patricia.
Hello. Good to see you again, Richard, in your new role.
Nice to see you, Patricia.
Hey, Megan, do you know where we are with appointments? Are there still some outstanding?
Yeah, so we have everybody besides Senator Duff. Um, we have, I'm sorry, I don't have my list. Here it is. Okay. We need the minority leader of the House, majority leader of the Senate. And actually, that's it.
Okay. I'll text Bob Duff.
Okay. Yeah, and then Candelora never responded to my emails, so
Hey, Savan.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
Hey, Megan, you give us a heads up when we have the folks that responded to get started.
okay.
Give it a couple of minutes.
Hello, Ayana.
Hi, I'm using someone else's computer, so I'm just trying to figure out how to turn down this volume. This is so loud.
Take
Hi.
your time. Take your time. Yolanda, hi.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Great.
So good to see everyone.
I think just about everybody's on now.
Well, hello everyone. Then let's get going here. Well, I'm Kelvin Roldan. I have the honor and privilege of being co-chair of this STEAM group along with my good friend Richard Sugarman. And before we get on and go on with the agenda, Senator Slapp was kind enough to join us to help open the meeting. Senator.
Hey, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to be super fast and then hand it back to you all and let you guys do your work. I just wanted to first say thank you, thank you so much for lending your expertise and your vision and your leadership to this really exciting task. This task force came out of legislation that I think many of you know that we passed this legislative session. Really, the goal is to help existing promise programs, help strengthen them, help them, collaborate and cooperate, help create more promise programs, and then, and this is the dream. And some of you have been working on this for a long time, but to really get on a path to creating the statewide Connecticut Promise. So I think it's super exciting and really important, the work, especially now with all that we see going on in terms of, what's going on at the federal level with, cuts to student loan programs and Pell Grants and all that kind of stuff, right? That's making college less accessible and less affordable for a lot of populations that are already underserved. So anyway, I just wanted to really just thank you and promise you that your work is not going to be in vain, and that this is going, your work is going to inspire legislation, no doubt, this coming session and beyond. So I'll just kind of leave it there, and Kelvin, toss it back to you and Richard and everybody else. So thanks
Thank
again.
you,
Very,
Derek.
very grateful for your leadership on this.
Thank you, Derek, for all your leadership.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm really excited to be able to join this esteemed group of people who have been working on behalf on Connecticut children and families for many, many years. Thank you, Senator Slab, Representative Haddad, Speaker Ritter, President Looney, for your leadership on this important work and the opportunity to serve. I first became involved in Promise programs, and I see some very familiar faces back in 2007 when I was a young member of the House and began to work towards the direction of establishing a program like Promise-like program in Hartford, and went out to Kalamazoo, did a lot of work, and quickly, as everything that is worth doing on behalf of children, realized that it takes more than just one individual, and it takes a heck of a lot of people with a lot of know-how, and that's what we have in the room today. And the work is not easy. And when I began and work in the Promise in Hartford, it took about 5 years. And the remarkable generosity of the corporate and community and foundation community and teachers and leaders in Hartford to make it happen. And the absolute and incredible leadership of Richard Sugarman, who took it on and has done and just a remarkable job, which now has been led by Sivan. And I see Patricia, who we talked about this many times over the years. It really is truly a remarkable group. And I just can't express how excited I am to go on this journey with every single one of you over the next few months as we try to do exactly what Senator Slab said. And we're going to get into that a little bit more in a few minutes. Richard.
Folks, Richard Sugarman, I know most of you. I'm glad to see your familiar faces. There are a few on here that I don't know. I look forward to getting to know you and working with you on this. Look, as Derek has said, as Kelvin has said, this is an exciting opportunity to really move this forward, something that many of us have talked about, thought about, worked on, considered important for a long time. I'm very excited that we're at this moment. And frankly, I'm really excited that we're at this moment at a time when higher education needs this kind of attention and focus and sort of future thinking. So excited about the work ahead of us and about being able to work with each of you all.
So we're going to move a little bit into the charge and what it is that we have been tasked to do per Special Act number 25-10, an act establishing a task force to support Promise programs in the state. The good senator provided a very brief introduction to this. Richard and I have worked to create a little bit more structure in terms of how we do this and do this within the appropriate timeline that we were given by the legislature, right? Be careful what you wish for in terms of doing something like this, but then timelines come quickly, and this one is going to come in January and it's going to be there quite soon. I was doing some work and travel yesterday, and I was in Vermont, and I saw the foliage already changing. So we have quite a bit of work, and in order to do, number one, what the senator stated, which was to review Promise programs and provide recommendations for the long-term sustainability of those programs and the potential creation of new programs that can serve more kids across the state of Connecticut. And in addition to that, what would it look like to develop and create a program that is statewide that can really reach a lot more deserving kids that are going to be working on behalf and doing just terrific work on behalf and working towards being here in the state of Connecticut in the future. Richard and I have been working with Megan and Daniela, who have been just absolutely stars thus far on putting together some materials that we will get to you once we are able to review those and make sure that we have what you need. And just know that a lot of those materials are really structured in a particular way, but they're not the end all be all. There is a lot more out there, particularly as it refers to individual privately funded programs across the country. But we're going to do our best to provide you with some thought and information to help us along the way there. Richard, did I miss anything in that?
I was just gonna say, Kelvin, just to reinforce, we're going to end up with a report. We're going to end up with a report that includes specific recommendations to the legislature, hopefully by the 1st of January. That's our timeline, and that's the product that's going to come out of our work. We'll talk in a little bit about, we've decided to try to approach the work through work groups. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just again, reinforcing, the recommendations will be around looking for and creating sustainable support for existing promise programs, looking for recommendations about the creating of new promise programs in the state, and number 3, looking for recommendations around how there can be a Connecticut promise, a state promise program. Those are the 3 charges, but excited about getting going.
Yeah, and just reiterate and share that those are very well listed on the introductory letter that we shared for you. And so we're just very excited to get going. I changed the agenda a little bit, so I think it's important to know who's in the room with us. So let's get to that exciting part of the work. And what I will do is I will hand it over to one person, and then if you can hand it over to the next from there for introductions. Who are you? And who do you represent? And what's exciting about this? Richard, is that okay with you?
Sure. Let's go.
Patricia. You're muted, Patricia.
Sorry about that. Again, I'm Patricia Melton, president of New Haven Promise, and we've been in existence since December of 2010.
What's exciting about this, Patricia?
The fact that we're going to have a statewide promise program at some point, hopefully, out of this, which will be great because those things have been started in other places. So that's what's really exciting, and that we will be able to work together, maybe collectively, to provide access and opportunity across the state. So that's exciting. I throw the ball to Sivan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sivan Hines. I'm president of Hartford Promise since July of 23. We've been in existence since 2016. What is exciting to me is to look at the faces in the room and to think about collaboration in general, as well as the fact that for the work that I know, New Haven and Waterbury, and we are doing already without having had until recently state support. It's really important work that affects the state. So I'm glad to see the movement towards the state recognizing that and wanting to grow it. So, and I will send it, I guess we'll stay in order. I'll send it to Kalanda.
Yes, I second, third, everything that Patricia and Sivan and Richard Sugarman and Kelvin has said, and Senator Slapp. What a time. It's a great time to be doing this. Waterbury Promise launched December of 2022 in support from Richard Sugarman and the city and the Board of Ed. And I was just thrilled to be able to move this initiative forward as the founding executive director. We are in our 4th year and partnering with UConn and other universities and colleges in Connecticut. We have just grown so much, and it's just exciting to be serving a little over 875 scholars in 4 years. And I'm very passionate about education. I'm excited to be thinking and having a Connecticut promise to serve even more students, and the collaboration is needed, and keeping our students to be able to come and work here, stay here. I'm a prime example of going off to school in New York, came back here and worked and been here ever since. So to be able to support more students, I'm all about it and really excited about this task force and working with you all. Oh, I'm gonna pass it to, let's see. I'm gonna pass it to Nathan.
Hey everybody, I'm Nathan First. I'm the Vice President for Student Life and Enrollment at the University of Connecticut, and I also happen to be on the board of directors in the New Haven Promise program, and know so many of the folks on the screen here very, very well. And the conversation goes way back. But let me thank Senator Slapp, also Kelvin and Richard for co-chairing this effort. I think we're just going to make such an incredible impact. And for me, what it's all about at the end of the day is what we're able to do for students and how we're able to give them access to higher education and provide them the support that they need in order to be able to get that degree and go back into the state workforce and improve the communities around us. All of those things are happening now through the programs that we have. We can see it in the students that come to us at the University of Connecticut from all three of the programs. So for us to think about scaling such a thing is just very inspiring because I can see how that would actually make such a dramatic and positive effect on the state of Connecticut. So kudos to everybody for their ideas and leadership around all of this, and looking forward to working with you all.
Pass it on, Nathan.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me see. Is it Barry?
It's actually Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah, I had to go through IT to get Zoom on my computer, so I had no time to adjust any of my stuff. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Berry. I work for the Office of Higher Education. I actually run the grant programs for CONCAP, the Collegiate Awareness and Preparation Program. I also run the Promoting Academically Successful Students. There's so many of them now. And then the PATH grants. So I run grant programs throughout the state that work very closely with the three Promise programs through Western Connecticut. And I think I work with 4 or 5 UConn campuses. So I'm familiar with the program. I've worked in higher ed for 20 years and done a lot of stuff with grants. I've been a executive director of student success and opportunity. I've been basically an academic dean and a dean of students. So I've seen quite a bit, but I just hope to at some point help because it seems that everybody here knows one another. And I think that's a wonderful thing, being the outside person. So I will throw it off to Dan.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan Junji. I am the Senior Government Relations and Communications Specialist with CHIFA, participating on behalf of CHESLA, the Connecticut Higher Education Supplemental Loan Authority. CHESLA is the state-affiliated lender helping Connecticut residents and students pay for their post-secondary education, focusing primarily on low fixed-rate student loans. But we also offer financial literacy initiatives, primarily through our Dollars and Cents portal, as well as administering a scholarship program. So I think there's definitely some linkages, between the work that CHESLA is doing and the statewide Promise program initiative. And I'm excited to dive into those and see what those linkages look like.
Who you want to throw it to, Dan?
I will, I'll hand it off to Mona.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mona Lucas, and my role is Assistant Vice President for Enrollment at the University of Connecticut. I presently serve as kind of the behind-the-scenes liaison to the 3 existing Promise programs, so it's good to see our colleagues on the call. I'm really excited about the collaboration and the possibility of serving even more students across the state who may not be in the cities that currently have a Promise program. And I really am excited about the tight turnaround time. Because that gives me hope that, we can make this happen. So, I will pass it on to Megan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Villanova. I've been emailing you all for months at this point. So I'm the administrator as the clerk of the Higher Ed Committee. And if you have any questions about anything like scheduling, or if you need a certain email or something, whatever, you can reach out to me. I also just want to note really quick, I'm sure you guys all realize, but we're recording and it's also being streamed to the Higher Ed YouTube channel. Just so everyone's aware. And I look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Very exciting. Hand it over
We
to
need
my
to hear from
co-chair.
Ayana.
Oh, Ayana, let's go.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayana. So I am a Hartford Promise alum. I was a scholar all 4 years of my time at UConn. I'm a recent graduate. I graduated in May of 24. So now I'm working as a research assistant at UConn Health, big surprise. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here. My prior experience with scholarships, other than being a scholar, has been I worked as a reader, I helped volunteering at events. So it's going to be really interesting to be on this side of things and being able to make an impact. And I love the idea of having a program that's statewide as well as everyone else. So yes.
So
Hey,
very
Ayana, can I put you on the spot just for another moment? Can you talk a little bit about your sort of future plans?
My future plans. So, I think I'm just gonna go for it and I'm going to go to medical school. So I was pre-med, my major was biology. So this is my growth year time where I'm just gaining more experience, studying for the MCAT and all that jazz.
That's great, Jazz.
That's amazing. Frankly, very apropos for you to be the last voice before we move on to the next section. Thank you so much. Incredible. Richard?
Yeah, thanks everybody. So it is a wonderful group, but we have work to do. But I want to start, try to have just an open conversation here and discussion. And we're going to try to reserve time in most of our meetings for just some, as I said, open discussion and sharing thoughts. Although we do have work to do, that is an important part of the work as far as I'm concerned. So I just wanted to open it up and ask you all to share as you look forward. If you were the kings and queens of promise, and you could see what that might look like, what would you see? What would you like to see, either as part of this report or a few years down the road, part of what's happening in Connecticut with Promise? I just want to make it open-ended like that. Take your time.
I'll jump in and start that zip code does not define everybody's future, right? So right now, I think we have done really good work in New Haven and Waterbury and Hartford to try and help that. But maybe especially with our announcement, I heard from people from other parts of the state, like, we don't qualify. Is there anything you can do to help us? And that was really hard. There is so much talent in so many of these neighborhoods and cities and things. And though I see zip code not defining, and I see Connecticut solving a lot of its own workforce issues with talent that's here in the state itself, as opposed to having to go outward to the state.
Thank you, Sivan. Others, your thoughts, your sense of what this might be, what it might look like.
Well, I
Anybody
think,
Go, Patricia.
this is Patricia. Building up on what Sivan, said, yes, I mean, we've been at it for a very long time here. And There are many communities that would like to have what we're doing in sort of the three, and there are a few others that are doing bits and pieces. But what would be really great is to, instead of just, having a couple of cities doing this, that there's really a concerted, integrated effort across all the different departments in the state and funding streams that truly sort of integrated. I just came back from a Strive Together conference, and it was just incredible to see what states are doing, being led by their governors. So with that kind of leadership, it is seamless, and all these systems are collectively working together to have promise or promise-like programs all over the state. And it's very deep work. So that's what I think this could possibly be the beginning start of, and that's what I would like to see.
Clear
I may-
leadership,
Yeah.
collaboration, coordination, cooperation that makes it smooth, but large.
Yeah, when I think about it, and sorry, I'm not on camera, I'm driving now, but I'll be on camera again in just a minute. When I think about it, I kind of break down what we know about the existing programs and what works really well. So it begins with the program and the teams that actually engage with the students and the communities that they're in, identifying the students that are going to be eligible, and then obviously providing them the wraparound services and support that they need in order to be successful. Then that leads into the financial support necessary in order to be able to provide the scholarships and awards necessary for them to finance their college education. And then higher education has a very important role to play too, in partnership with the programs and helping to deliver enhanced financial aid awards wherever possible and these sorts of things. It's all of those things working together. And I think as I listen to Patricia talk, I envision a network of sorts, perhaps, because we have some really strong existing programs. And so it's almost like we know what our start point is. I think we have an idea of what the end point is, and it's how do we get there. And I think it's through a network and intentional funding and collaboration in order to be able to get there.
Hey, Nathan, can you talk a little bit more about, and Patricia also touched on this, of course, but what that network would look like? What would be essential elements of that network?
Well, the core entities, of course, begin with the existing Promise programs. And so I think our cities, obviously, in some instances, community foundations and other foundations have an important role to play in partnership or in direct support of those programs that exist currently. So that's maybe one cornerstone. Another cornerstone is the state itself, obviously. That probably is one of the biggest ones, quite frankly. That's why we're here. We've been called here today. They can lay out for us what they'd like to see, lay out for us how it might be resourced and these sorts of things. And then I think that our institutions of higher education are another cornerstone that obviously has an important role to play. And by the way, when I say state, I also would include upon it other state agencies like Tesla and others that are already around the table. And perhaps that's another cornerstone at some point too. I don't know, but that's the way I'm looking at it right now. I'm sure I'm leaving important people out though, and other players. So maybe other people have ideas to add.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Others, your thoughts? What this might be? What's needed in order for us to get there?
I think I want to touch on what Patricia, Sivan, and Nathan said about collaboration from the state level and other foundations and CBOs and other organizations being able to network together collaboratively. But I also think about the end result, right, of students being able to get their degrees and leave with less student loan debt. So I think being able to expand this and duplicate it, because Waterbury Promise wouldn't be here if New Haven and Hartford wasn't doing this so well. So to be able to duplicate that and do it well, I think you do need a hierarchy system to be able to say, here's the blueprint. Now how do we expand on it? And I think those partnerships are going to be important, the public and the private, right? It can't just work with just private. And you need that balance between the state and the local government to be able to expand. So I think, like you all said, I think we all need to come together and convene and figure out how we can do this well. Being able to fundraise for it and build those partnerships, but also being able to implement it on the ground.
Thanks, Kalonda. Yeah. Others? Want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. Go ahead, Barry. Or Jeff, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's quite all right. It happens pretty often. So I just wanted to say that in working with multiple CONCAP and PATH programs that work with these students from Hartford, Waterbury, or New Haven, I will tell you that, I've been in this role, and OHE has been operating CONCAP since, I think, 1983, working throughout the state. We have limited funding, so there's not a lot of money that really would deem our grants to be self-sustaining or sole funding sources of, operating a full grant. And I can tell you that the institutions that we do work with that have the Promise programs overlap with a lot of the elements that are within our CONCAP and PATH programs. Outside of maybe like the GPA requirements for high earner, like high learners, like higher GPAs. But I can say I went to a CONCAP graduation at UConn Avery Point and spoke there, and the quality of student and the impact that these things are making far outweighs whatever time, effort, and energy we're going to put into actually creating a collaborative environment. 3 years in my role, I can tell you that building on, is it Kalonda? Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Building on her point, I have worked tirelessly to bring all of my programs together to help them to grow as a unit. And I'm getting close to the point of actually, I've had my most recent meeting at our offices at 450 Columbus Ave. I am actually stepping back now to allow them the opportunity to lead and to drive what's going to happen. So I guess what I want to offer from our perspective and my perspective at OHE and operating grants like this is that there's a wealth of knowledge that's already existent that understands how these things happen. And maybe the best way to look at how we move forward is, yes, to be quite collaborative, but then also to look at how do we make ourselves redundant so that this machine works on its own. Put those pieces in place so that I guess we're not putting barriers where they don't need to be. And then we're also taking advice from the people that are doing the work and have done the work.
That's really helpful and important. Can I just feedback a piece that I think I'm hearing you, either you're saying or underneath part of what you're saying, is that these programs have seen fabulous outcomes, significant, consistent, large outcomes, but with limited resources.
Very limited.
What might it mean if there were less limited resources or more resources available? Is that part of what you're saying?
Yeah. So for instance, I know we work with UConn Waterbury, we work with Storrs, we work with, Western in Danbury, who has a lot of New Haven Promise students, even Southern Connecticut. And our programs don't offer enough money to single source fund and operate a grant. So there's multiple grants. A lot of them have like TRIO, Upward Bound, the Promise programs plus us and CONCAP, and or we just recently started working with the Hartford Public Library for a PATH grant that very much aligns with the Promise grant. As a new initiative that came out of the OHA committee last year, HB 5239, I believe. So I completely agree that it's with more funding gives more opportunity. And at those institutions that have the Promise programs, we see greater outcomes because there's more overlap, there's greater amount of funding, more support, more bodies on the ground. So any opportunity that we have to not only expand, but also, learn from these programs that are existing and operating very well. And I will say that all of my the CONCAP PIs or principal investigators all speak incredibly highly of the Promise programs, incredibly highly. So, and I'm not surprised. I mean, if you look at its track record, it's fantastic. So expanding is great, but I just think that sometimes when we expand and we look to collaborate, sometimes we become too convoluted. That's why I was suggesting maybe the way we move forward is to look at stepping back and making sure that these programs are the ones that are really driving forward, which I love the part of this whole organization that we've put together here to look at, expanding and then rely on, I wouldn't be the first person to tell you what the best way to move forward with this program is. I can just provide you some flavor and maybe a little bit of wisdom I picked up along the lines. That's it. I would always defer to everybody that's been involved with this. They know it's best. And I did the same thing with my programs when I first started. I learned from them. So I'm appreciative of being here and learning about this, even at a deeper level.
Glad you're here, Jeff. Thanks for all that and for the continued flavor and wisdom. We'll all benefit from it. Others who maybe haven't had a chance yet, please, Mona. Yeah.
Sure. For those who don't know, my background is in financial aid, so I'd like to talk a little bit about the money and my wish for how we might consider structuring the money. So this is if money is no object, ideally, because we recognize that in addition to the direct expenses that students must pay to attend universities and colleges, tuition fees, in some cases, room and board, that type of thing, we also recognize the cost of indirect expenses. And so ideally, I would hope we can consider a structure that allows whatever funding will be attached to the program to go towards certainly direct expenses, but also indirect expenses up until a student's financial need is met. That would be my wish.
Yep. Total cost of education.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Others? Ayana, anything you're thinking at this point or want to share at this point? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just giving you an opportunity.
I mean, the only thing that comes to my head is just making sure that we're consistent with our efforts in connecting with students, which I don't doubt that we will be. I just really appreciated having the people on the ground giving me a text here and there or sending me an email here and there. I just feel like apart from the money, that piece is really, really important. Just feeling like someone is thinking of you. So that's the part that I would want to make sure that we continue to keep.
And that can frequently, Ayana, go under the radar, not be appreciated, not be known, not be as visible. But to your point, is critically important, right? Even little, I think I hear you saying little outreaches and little connecting points. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, you are. And I think that also speaks to why we have so many graduates and people that continue all the way through, because you just feel supported.
Yep, thank you for that. It's really important. Yeah, Patricia, yeah.
I did want to make one other point, the data. I think it's so important. I mean, we're very strong on data. We just have more data than just about anybody. But what it would be very helpful for this group as we're looking to build a network is there are very powerful and important data systems at the state that, as partners, we should be able to collaborate with and sort of pulling this data, because that's going to tell the story that ultimately the state legislature is going to look at and the rest of the country is going to be able to look at. And we know that these types of systems work pretty well. And, that bodes well for sustainability in terms of actually systems in the ecosystem and making the case in terms of return on investment.
Yeah, it's really important. Really important point. Thank you, Patricia. Others who either, go ahead, Savon.
Well, when I wanted to follow up and ask Patricia a question too, did you mean also, Patricia, like is it P90 data, the data that looks at work, right? So they're able to track, right? The state has the system of being able to know who's working and paying taxes in Connecticut, and that data is really helpful as you're looking at graduates and who's doing what. Is that what you meant also? in some of the
Yeah,
data?
obviously educational data, but for instance, we do not track, I mean, we can track all of our scholars, but that's a lot of work because we do not retain their social security numbers. That's getting at a whole nother level.
Right.
So just some way of really being able to see aggregate data. That data is really just incredibly important. FAFSA data, all of the little data points that we can get by running around. But again, we have very small, very efficient staff, and being able to access those larger data points so that we can plug in terms of how we're doing would be very, very helpful, specifically after we go after other pots of money that we need that is often based on research-based practices. So when we get to those national pools of dollars with those national foundations, we have to come with some pretty strong data. And the state data would be very helpful.
And so I agree totally with Patricia. And the two things that I wanted to add to Nathan's comment about cornerstones, public school educators, so counselors, and like we need that partnership, obviously, on that end. And I feel like we also need it with corporate and employers. So
I didn't want to get into that. That's a whole nother.
Let me just give one
That's a
example.
big one. That's a big, big one.
Jeff, then I'll come to you. But I think part of what you're talking about, I'm aware, for example, the state of Pennsylvania has done a 10-year projection in terms of what they will need in terms of the numbers of skilled workers, new skilled workers in the workforce in order to maintain their growth, their economic growth. And they have a number, how many thousands of workers they need. And on the current track that they're on in terms of support for this kind of thing and support for education, they're probably at a tenth of what they will need. So the state needs to embrace this and embrace programs like Promise programs in order to realize those skilled labor projections, skilled worker projections, or the state is going to lose ground economically. Same is true for any state. So to me, that kind of thing would be the kind of compelling data that would certainly make a difference. But there's many other data points, as you said, Patricia. Jeff?
Yeah, it was just I just had a random question about the Promise programs. Do you have access to the Student Clearinghouse? You do. Okay. All right. That's wonderful. That was just for my own personal knowledge, so that it would help me inform my commentary. So thank you.
This is very helpful. Before we wrap up this open discussion, though, any other folks that want to, Dan, did you want to weigh in with anything, or anybody else that wants to weigh on any things that have been brought up or haven't been brought up so far? All right, very helpful. Thank you. We're gonna do much more of this as we go forward. You just talk a little bit about the plans or the format for this group. And Kelvin and I have spent some time thinking about this, and I hope it will work for you all. Because we have a short time frame, and Patricia, because you said that short time frame, or Mona, I think you said that short time frame will potentially lead to some real results, which we've all been in situations, extended situations, that basically went nowhere or just kept going round and round. I don't believe this is going to be one of those efforts. I believe this is really going to lead to something meaningful. And I think that Derek's posture on this and Greg's posture on this and others is that's our charge, is to end up with something meaningful that is acted upon by the legislature and by the governor. In order to get there, so we're going to have a handful of meetings between now and the beginning of January. I think we sent you in the letter that we sent you all, we sent those proposed meeting dates, but I'm going to repeat them here just to make sure that everybody has it. The next meeting would be October 8th. Following that would be October 22nd. And we're proposing that both of those meetings be in person. We know it's more convenient to do it this way, but we think there need to be a couple of in-person meetings because we're going to be sharing some additional data and other reports. And we just want to be as engaged with each other as possible. So those next two meetings, October 8th and October 22nd in person, and then meetings on November 5th and November 19th to share the preliminary work or the initial work of the work groups in a couple of the areas of charge. And then a meeting on December 3rd to look at and hopefully approve a report, at least a draft report at that point. So October 8, October 22 in person, November 5, November 19 virtually, and then December 3rd as a review of the report, also in person. We wanted to put on the calendar a December 10th meeting just in case we need it, because we know this is ambitious and a lot of meetings, but we'll use that if needed. So I hope that works for you all. And for a few of the folks who aren't here today, anybody have any real problems with more than one of those dates, or any questions about any of that?
I have a
No?
question. Is this for like an hour, 90 minutes to, what's the time?
So I think I would like to say, Patricia, 75 minutes.
Okay.
And knowing that we may need more than that for some of these reports, and I don't want to shortcut it. I don't want to keep people beyond, but if we thought 75 minutes, knowing that sometimes we'll be able to do it in 60 and sometimes we may need 90.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Richard, could you remind us were the last two also in person or just the last one?
The last one, December 3rd, would be in person. And Mona, if we need December 10, I think we'd keep that optional as to whether that be in person or not, but that's an optional meeting if needed.
I'm sorry, Richard, I missed seeing these dates. Did you have times for these?
Yeah, that's my next point, is that we were thinking that we would try to do these meetings at 12 o'clock at lunchtime, I will say, just hoping that will work for most people. And I want to check to see if that's the case for you all. That's a big question. Middle of the day. Works? Thanks, Patricia. Okay, well, that's our goal, is to have it at 12 o'clock, and we'll go from 12 to 1:15, knowing that we've got a little flexibility there if needed. Okay. And we would have the in-person meetings at the LOB. Megan will make sure that we have rooms reserved. And Megan, I want to say again, thank you for your support and help with all of this. Seriously, you've been wonderful, and you're gonna mean a lot to us. So thank you. Let's see. So in terms of the work groups, and this will be a couple of additional meetings required in work groups. So because the charge is these three areas. One is to try to generate concrete support for existing promise programs, to try to look at a plan for building additional promise programs, and then to try to look at and have a recommendation for a statewide Connecticut promise program. Kelvin and I thought, Kelvin, let me stop here for a second, just see if you have anything you want to add here before I keep moving on. All right, I'm going to take that as everything's okay. All right. So we thought we would break the work of building the reports into two work groups. One of the work groups would be a work group focused on existing promise programs and a plan or recommendations for creating new promise programs in cities, in towns, in Connecticut. That would be one work group. And the second work group will be the group working on the idea of a Connecticut promise and what that might look like.
So wait, say that again. So the first one is
Work group is on support for existing programs, and a plan or recommendations for creating new promise programs in other cities and towns. That's one work group. The second work group is on the idea of a Connecticut promise and recommendations as to what that would look like.
Okay.
So it's almost like promulgation versus large scale.
I like that, Nathan. I wouldn't have said it that way, but I like that.
This is why we get along, Richard.
So one of many reasons why we get along, Nathan. If you all are good with that approach, and I've used this before, we've used this before to actually get the report done, as opposed to try to do that in a larger group. If you all like that idea, I'd like you to volunteer for which of those work groups you'd like to be part of in terms of generating those reports. And I'm hoping we get people in each of those work groups.
Connecticut Promise, statewide promise program.
Tricia, statewide Connecticut, thank you. Sivan, I'm gonna go around. Sivan, how about you?
Yeah, so I'll do the existing and potential new then.
Okay, thank you. Kalanda?
I think I'll do the statewide.
Okay, great. Mona?
Statewide.
Statewide, okay. Ayana?
It's a tough one. I'm very much 50-50. I guess support for existing programs.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
I'd like to participate in the statewide group.
Great, thank you. Jeff?
I don't know. I would defer to everybody to place me where you think maybe I might provide value.
Existing. There's much that Jeff talked about that I don't know. So I would love to learn more about what the state's already doing with CONCAP and PATH and how those could overlap. That would be but I can meet with Jeff separately too. So.
Thank you. I will do the existing programs then.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Nathan?
I'll do the promulgation existing as well, since Mona's done the statewide, since we're both at the same institution.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So I think that's pretty even distribution of folks. Thank you for that. And again, each of you will have opportunities to weigh in on all of this. It's just in terms of the work group process of generating the report, just to be more efficient. So it'll be up to these work groups. And I'm going to be with one of the groups, and Kelvin will be with the other group. So we'll also be available and working with you on this. But we'll have to also figure out meeting dates for those work groups in addition to these task group meetings that I just shared. And I'm thinking maybe what we'll do is we'll send out a note to you all, the folks that are in the various work groups, and let you all figure out at least a couple of meeting dates for those work groups following this meeting. Is that okay with folks? So we don't stress your calendars too much at this meeting. I think those are the items that we had on the agenda to cover. Kelvin, let me give you another chance, please, to weigh in on any and all of this, please.
No, this is great. Thank you. I apologize. I heard my name. I actually heard my name. So it takes me 20 minutes to walk from one end of the room to the next. And so I apologize for that, but I really didn't want to miss this meeting and just say hello and thank you to all of you for your engagement and participation. Yeah, Richard, like Richard said, I don't need to really go much more into it other than to say that we're both very excited. We wanted to create a parallel structure that would allow us to do as much work in an efficient manner as possible and being respectful of your busy schedules and busy lives and work. So we're grateful for the opportunity. Like Richard said, we will follow up.
Thanks, Kelvin. Any questions, thoughts that you all have before we wrap up? And we're going to wrap this one up maybe before 60 minutes, but any thoughts, questions that, Kalanda, did I see your hand?
Yes, the work groups, are they going to be opposite of the weeks that we're going to have the actual meetings for the whole group?
If possible, if that's, it may not be possible to do that quite so clean, but if possible, sure.
Okay.
But
And
it'll
will
be up to
those-
the work groups to decide what, what's best for them.
Okay.
Those would be virtual as well, or up to the work group?
I think it's up to the work group, but I'm guessing that they will probably be virtual.
Yeah, there may be some that we may want to be in the same room to see the same things, but we'll have to figure it out. We'll make it as easy as possible.
I have a question. Is anyone going to PromiseNet, which is on November, I think 9th and 10th?
Is that in San Antonio?
No, it's in
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo?
The first Promise program.
I haven't been since 2008.
Yeah, well, this is their
From
big
the-
anniversary. This is
Zoo.
their, what is it? Is it 20th? Yeah, 20th. It's a big
So
one.
I'm not going to, Patricia, I made the huge embarrassment of making a joke about, oh, yeah, someone asked about conferences in a group of a couple of funder board members. And I said, yeah, and we don't always have the funding, and the next big one's in Kalamazoo, and who wants to go to Kalamazoo in November? And of course, one of the board members was from Kalamazoo, from the group. What are the odds?
It is beautiful.
Well, we're taking a team and,
Awesome.
of course, there'll be lots of great info that could inform our work. So I will definitely be gathering, but let me know if anyone else is going.
Thank you, Patricia. Any other questions, thoughts before we go?
Yes, I did just want to say I'm not sure about being able to make the in-person meetings because I am working an 8 to 4:30 with a 30-minute break. So I will see if that's doable, but I'm not sure. But I can definitely join virtually.
Well, I think
That'd be great, Ayana. We'll try to make that available to you. Where are you working? Where's your location?
I'm at UConn Health in Farmington.
In Farmington. Yep. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
We'll try to accommodate you as much as possible, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or points before we go? If not, thank you all very much for being part of this. We've all said a handful of times this is going to be important and exciting work, and I can't wait to keep it going and see where we go with it. So thank you all very much. We'll follow up with notes.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Richard. Thanks,
Bye,
Kelvin.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you.